A new apartment, a fresh start, but the old room, it seemed, had a story to tell. Amid the hustle and bustle of moving boxes, a girl finds herself in a room, its stark emptiness echoing with the promise of new beginnings. Yet somewhere in the back of her mind, she can't shake off the landlord's cryptic words. There used to be 2 girls in this room before you, but one suddenly moved out. As night descends, a hush falls over the apartment. The city's distant hum is drowned out by an eerie silence, punctuated only by faint whispers that seem to emanate from the empty bed across the room. Initially, she brushes it off, attributing it to the pipes perhaps, or the wind playing tricks on the tired old building. It's just her mind, she tells herself, the result of too many late nights and the stress of the move. But then, each morning, she finds the blanket on the other bed ever so slightly shifted. The room is empty, she reminds herself. She lives alone. But the pattern continues, each day more pronounced than the last. The whispers grow louder, taking on a life of their own. A chill runs down her spine, but she pushes it away, convincing herself that it's just the wind or the building settling. She's not one to believe in ghost stories after all. She's practical, logical. There must be a rational explanation. Maybe it's her own subconscious, playing out her fears and anxieties in the most bizarre ways. Or maybe it's just the echo of the room's past, an imprint of the previous tenant's life, resurfacing in the quiet of the night. Yet she can't ignore the signs. The whispers, the shifting blanket, the strange feeling that she's not alone. It's all too real. She can't shake off the feeling that the room is trying to tell her something, a secret it has held onto for far too long. The whispers grew louder, the bed seemed more disturbed each morning, but the room was empty, wasn't it? One night, the whispers took form. Our protagonist, her heart pounding like a drum, woke up to a chilling sight. The moonlight pouring in from the window cast an eerie glow on the other bed, revealing the outline of a figure. Sitting there, with her back hunched over, was a girl. She was pale, her hair cascading down to hide her face. The room was filled with a sense of dread that was almost palpable. Yet our brave tenant tried to reason. She told herself it was a trick of the light, a product of her overactive imagination. But deep inside, she knew something was amiss. Suddenly, the girl on the bed began to whisper. Her voice was as cold as the night air, a chilling lullaby that sent shivers down the spine. "Don't take my side of the room," she murmured, her voice echoing in the otherwise silent room. A warning, a threat. The words hung heavy in the room, filling the air with a sense of impending doom. Fear gripped the protagonist. She reached out, her hand trembling, and flipped the switch. The room flooded with light, banishing the shadows and the strange figure with them. The bed, once occupied by the spectral roommate, was empty. The sheets were undisturbed, the pillow untouched. She stood there, her heart still racing, trying to make sense of what she had just witnessed. Was it all in her head? Was it a dream? Or was it something more? Was it a warning from the unknown? A plea from the other side? She looked around, her gaze falling on the empty bed. It seemed so ordinary, so mundane, yet it held a secret, a story that was slowly unraveling itself. As the lights flicked on, the room was empty again. Was it all just a dream, or was it a warning? As she lay back down, she couldn't help but wonder, what was the truth behind the whispers? What was the story of the room? And most importantly, who was the girl on the other bed? The whispers, the figure, it was all too real. She had to find answers. With a newfound resolve, our protagonist decided to start her investigation right at the heart of the mystery. Her neighborhood. The sense of dread that had been her constant companion since moving in now fueled her quest for the truth. She began knocking on doors, asking the neighbors about the previous tenants. Most of them had vague recollections of 2 girls living in her apartment, but no one seemed to know why one of them had left so abruptly, until she reached the door of an elderly woman who lived directly below her apartment. The woman was reluctant to talk at first, but eventually, she relented. She told the protagonist about the tragic fate of the last girl who lived in her room. The girl, she said, was a quiet, introverted person who seemed to live in her own world. Then one day, without warning or explanation, she jumped from the window of the apartment. The news had sent shockwaves through the quiet neighborhood. The protagonist listened, her heart pounding in her chest as the pieces of the puzzle started falling into place. The whispers, the figure on the bed, the shifting blanket. It all made a chilling sort of sense now, but the most disturbing revelation was yet to come. The woman told her that after the girl's death, her belongings were locked inside the wardrobe in the room and left untouched. The last girl never left. She was still there, in the room, in the wardrobe. The woman's words echoed in her mind as she thanked the woman and walked back to her apartment. As she climbed the stairs, each step heavier than the last, she realized that she was not living alone. She was sharing her room with a ghost, a tragic figure trapped in a loop of her own despair. As she opened the door to her apartment, the sense of dread was stronger than ever. She was no longer just a tenant in the apartment. She was part of the story, part of the mystery, and she had a feeling that the story was far from over. That night, the wardrobe creaked open. The silence of the room was shattered by the sudden, jarring noise. She could feel her heart pounding in her chest as she turned her gaze towards the source of the sound. In the dim glow of the moonlight filtering through the curtains, she could see the wardrobe door slowly swinging open. The low groan of the hinges echoed in the stillness, sending shivers down her spine. The wardrobe, once a symbol of the room's past, had now transformed into a harbinger of the inexplicable. As she looked, her eyes widened in terror. The mirror on the wardrobe door reflected the room back at her, but something was different. The once empty bed across the room was no longer vacant. There it was, the reflection of the two beds, both occupied. The sight was chilling, the reality, bone-chilling. On the other bed, she saw the ghostly figure of her unseen roommate. The pallor of her face was accentuated by her dark hair cascading down, hiding her eyes. A cold smile played on her lips, a smile that didn't reach her hidden eyes. It was a sight that could freeze the blood in one's veins. Then she heard it, a whisper that seemed to float in the air, a whisper that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. The voice was soft, ethereal, barely audible, yet it carried a weight that made the room feel oppressively heavy. "Finally, you're staying." The words hung in the air, a chilling declaration of a haunting presence that refused to leave. The ghostly roommate seemed to find a strange comfort in her words, her smile widening at the prospect of her new companion. The whispers, the shifting blanket, the eerie sightings, everything added up. She was not alone in the apartment. She had never been alone. The last roommate, the one who had never left, was still there. The realization was terrifying, the implications even more so. But she was stuck, sharing her space with a presence from the other side. "Finally, you're staying." The words echoed in her mind, a chilling reminder of her new reality. The screen went static. And then, as if emerging from the ether, the words began to materialize, a silent whisper, a chilling revelation, etched across the canvas of noise and chaos. This video, it originates from an eerily familiar place, one might think upon reading. The apartment, the very scene of our tale, the stage on which this macabre dance between the living and the spectral has unfolded, is the birthplace of this video. A chill might run down your spine as you comprehend the implications. The apartment, where the whispers seemed to echo from the walls, where an unseen presence made its claim, is not just a story, but a reality. As the reality of the situation begins to sink in, the words seem to echo in your mind. This video was uploaded from the same apartment. The narrative takes on a new, more sinister hue. The whispers, the shifting blanket, the ghostly figure. They're not confined to the screen. They've bled into reality, into the very room where this video was conceived and birthed. The apartment isn't just a backdrop for our tale. It's a character, a silent participant, a vessel for the unseen. The girl, the new tenant, our protagonist, has been enveloped in this chilling narrative. The ghostly roommate, the spectral presence, her unseen companion, has become a part of her reality. The whispers that once seemed distant and detached have crept into her world, blurring the lines between the tangible and the ethereal. And then, the final revelation, the twist of the knife, the coup de grace. The uploader was never seen again. The words hang heavy in the air, a chilling epitaph, a stark reminder of the apartment's spectral inhabitant. The girl, the new tenant, once a voyeur into this spectral world, has now become a part of the narrative, swallowed by the very story she was telling. As the realization dawns, the words linger, an echo of a chilling tale. This video was uploaded from the same apartment. The uploader was never seen again. The line between fiction and reality, once clear and distinct, has been irrevocably blurred. The tale is over, but the whispers linger on.